Today we will learn and reflect on the play by Aristophanes, Peace, written during the time of the Peace of Nicias, and was first performed while the treaty was being ratified. Aristophanes was consistently against this war, and this play reflects the anti-war sentiment in Athens. This video is a continuation of our video on the Peace of Nicias, and you may want to watch this video first. At the end of our talk, we'll discuss the sources used for this video. Please feel free to follow along with our PowerPoint script posted as SlideShare. Please, we welcome interesting questions in the comments. Let us learn and reflect together. This is one of many videos where we examine the history of the Peloponnesian Wars. Sparta and her allies became concerned and suspicious as the Athenian Empire grew in power and influence. Conflicts between Athens and Sparta led to the start of the Peloponnesian Wars under the Athenian general and statesman Pericles. Both Sparta and Athens tired of the constant warfare. After the leaders who were eager to continue the war, the demagogue Cleon of Athens and the general Brasidas of Sparta both died in the Battle of Amphipolis, the Greek leader Nicias was able to negotiate a peace that held for over 6 years between Athens and Sparta, called the Peace of Nicias. This is the second of two videos on the Peace of Nicias. The play Peace by Aristophanes won second prize at the Dionysian Festival just a few days before the ratification of the Peace of Nicias. It celebrates the peace and a return to the idyllic life in the countryside. This play, The Peace, reflects the yearning of many Greeks for peace at last. We'll excerpt the most humorous and revealing lines from this play. The piece opens with servants kneading what appears to be dough for bread, but no, this is not dough, but rather, as the servants of Trigeus complains, there's no more loathly, miserable task than to be mashing dung to feed a beetle. Which beetle is this? The giant dung beetle on which Trigeus enters the stage with wings spread. One of his daughters asks him, "Oh, father, can it be true, the tale that has come to our ears about you, that along with the bird you are going to go, and to leave us alone and be off to the crow?" Now Trigeus seeks to fly to Olympus to entreat the gods to end this terrible war. His daughter asks him, "What will be your method of passage?" "Ships will not do, they cannot make this journey." And Trigeus answered, "I will ride a steed with wings, no ships for me." "What's the wit of harnessing a beetle to ride on it to heaven, papa, papa?" Trigeus says, "It's the only living thing with wings, so Aesop says, that ever reached the gods." And the girl says, oh father, that's too good a story, that such a stinking brute should enter heaven. Should you not have harnessed Pegasus, the flying horse, and so in tragic style approach the gods?" And Trigeus has a response. "Nay, then, I must have supplies for two. But now the very food I eat myself, all this will presently be food for him." Now Aristophanes was known for his clever and scatological bathroom humor. Both are in full play here, because many Greeks would know that the scarab or amulet of the dung beetle is quite popular in Egypt, and perhaps some scarab seals or amulets found their way to Greece. In Egyptian mythology, the dung beetle, or Khepri, represents the god Ra, who every day pushes the newly created sun across the sky, in the same way that the scarabs, or dung beetles, push large balls of dung across the ground. So it is not too far-fetched to ride on the back of dung beetles to heaven. Our hero Trygaeus flies to heaven or Mount Olympus on the back of his dung beetle, but the only god he finds there is Hermes. The Greek audience would remember that Hermes made an appearance in the Odyssey, where he sends a message from the gods to Calypso that she allow Odysseus to return home to his wife Penelope. Now here Hermes is delivering a message from the gods to Trygaeus. Trigeus asks him, "What's the reason the gods went away?" Hermes, "They were so vexed with Hellas. Therefore here, where they were dwelling, they've established war, and given you up entirely to his will. But the gods themselves have settled up aloft, as high as they can go, that they no more may see your fighting or hear your prayers." So Trigeus inquires of Hermes, "Where has peace gone to?" Hermes answers, "War has blockaded her in a deep, deep pit." "Where?" "Well, here beneath our feet, and you may see the heavy stones he piled up about its mouth, that none should take her out." And there's a reference to Lady Peace in Plutarch's Life of Nicias, when an oracle commanded them to fetch the priestess of Athena from Clazomene. They sent for the woman, and her name was Peace. This was apparently the god's way of advising the city to keep the peace going for the time being. Now, the Greeks and Romans had dozens and hundreds of gods for rivers and mountains and other aspects of life, so there was likely a minor god or goddess of peace, but none of the major gods in Mount Olympus were concerned with peace. Among the major gods, the god of war was the Greek god Ares. Mars was his Roman name, and the protectress of Athens, Athena, was also a goddess of war. This painting by Rubens is an allegory. According to the description in the British National Gallery, the nude woman in the center represents both Pax, or peace, and Ceres, goddess of the earth. Just behind Pax is Athena, or Minerva, and she is protecting the group from Ares, or Mars, god of war. And the overall message is clear. Rejecting war and embracing peace will bring prosperity and plenty. Now, Rubens was acting as an envoy to Spain in 1630, and this painting celebrates the peace treaty he was able to negotiate. Now we'll continue with the play. Then War enters, bearing a gigantic mortar, in which he is about to mix a salad, followed by Riot. War asks Riot, run in and get a pestle. But Riot cannot find a pestle, and after looking, he answers War. The pestle the Athenians had is lost, the tanner fellow who disturbed all Hellas. And Riot is referring to Cleon, the Athenian demagogue and incompetent general who recently died on the battlefield. And War says, run away and fetch from Lacedaemon another pestle. Riot answers, oh sir, the Spartans too have lost their pestle. Why so, you rascal? Why, they lent it out to friends Thraceward, and they lost it there. And Riot here is referring to Brasidas, the Spartan general who had recently died on the same battlefield as Cleon. So War then says, pick up the things and carry them away. I will go and make myself a pestle. And so War and Riot exit the stage. A few pages later, Trigeus, Hermes, and the chorus help pull Peace and her two attendants out of the pit. With Peace released, the Spartans no longer annually ravage the fields and crops of Athens. No longer do they destroy the houses and olive trees. Trigeus sings, comrades, which to peace we owe, all the life of ease and comfort, which she gave us long ago. Figs and olives, wine and myrtles, luscious fruits preserved and dried, banks of fragrant violets blowing by the crystal fountain's side, scenes for which our hearts are yearning, joys that we have missed so long. Comrades, here is peace returning, greet her back with dance and song. And the chorus then answers, welcome, welcome, best and dearest, welcome, welcome, welcome home, Peace. We have looked and longed for thee, looking, longing wondrously. Once again for our farms to see, oh, the joy, the bliss, the rapture, really to behold thee come. Peace was our chief enjoyment. Peace was our greatest gain. And the chorus asks Hermes, where has peace been hiding? Hermes responds, Phidias began the mischief, having come to grief and shame. And this is the Phidias who rebuilt the Acropolis and the Parthenon, which was built from tribute paid by the Athenian allies. And the chorus continues, Pericles was next in order, fearing he might share the blame, by his megara enactment, setting all the war ablaze. Such a bitter smoke ascended, setting all the world ablaze. Now the Persians had torn down and burnt the many temples and statues on the Acropolis in Athens in the Greco-Persian Wars. And Phidias was an architect and friend of Pericles who rebuilt the Acropolis and Parthenon. And these marvels that thrill tourists today were paid for by the tribute paid by the Athenian allies. Now, many of Pericles' enemies were critical of the exorbitant costs of this building program. Plutarch quotes them. The Greeks regard it as outrageously arrogant treatment, as blatant tyranny, when they can see that they are using the funds they were forced to contribute for the military defense of Greece to gild and embellish our city, as if she were a vain woman adorning herself with costly marble, statues, and temples at 1,000 talents at a time. For comparison, 1 talent was a month's pay for the hundreds of rowers needed to man a trireme. And the tribute was paid to Athens by the members of the Delian League, who were mostly Greek city-states on the islands and coasts of the Aegean Sea, to pay for the common defense against the Persian Empire. And the Delian League evolved into the Athenian Empire after Pericles moved the treasury from the island of Delos to Athens, so the Athenians could more readily access the funds for their building programs. Now, Pericles' strategy to avoid open contests between Spartan and Athenian hoplites in front of the walls of Attica opting to instead take to the ships and fight a war of attrition with Sparta and her allies, in turn raiding their fields and towns and interfering with their trade and food supplies, truly deepened the hatred that the Greeks felt towards their enemies on both the Athenian and Spartan sides. This was not the noble Homeric combat of the epics. This was endless pillage and slaughter. Add to that the suffering the Athenians endured crowded behind their long walls during the plague, and you can easily understand why Pericles was blamed for the outbreak of the war. Now, the Peace of Nicias would not hold for long. The peace would be shattered by the Athenian aggression and the disastrous defeat in Syracuse, Sicily, followed by many more years of war that would end in the destruction of the Athenian fleet and the unconditional surrender of Athens to the Spartan commander, Lysander. Now we'll discuss the sources we use for this video. Since all of our videos on the Peloponnesian War access many of the same multiple sources, we cut another video reviewing these sources, including the Greek playwrights, and that includes Aristophanes. The YouTube description includes a link to our PowerPoint script that we uploaded to SlideShare and also our blog. Please support this channel by sharing this video with your friends and by clicking on the like and subscribe buttons and by clicking on the Amazon links to purchase any of the books we discussed, which will earn us a very small affiliate commission. And please consider becoming a patron of our channel. Plus, we will host special discussion groups for our patrons. Plus, you can click on the Meetup or small M icon to participate in our online discussions, where we practice our future YouTube scripts. And please click on the links for other videos that will broaden your knowledge and improve your soul.